I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Ka Kodash. All right. And I want to say double honors unto the apostles, and that was a great millstone where I learned this truth from. I want to say peace, mercy, and blessings unto all the hopeful elect out there. All right. The name of heaven Father is Yahweh. That means he exists, or he is to be. The name of the Son is Yahweh Shai. That means he is the deliverer. We are the Hebrew Israelites. There's 12 tribes. Today we're being called Black, Native American, Seminole Indian, Latin, Hispanic. All right, but we are the Israelites that are just being called by bywords and proverbs to conceal our true identity. All right, this is not a black thing. All right, our people are scattered all over the world, looking like all nations. Now the self-proclaimed white man, he's actually red. He's Esau Edom, and Bible prophecy says he's the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of that follower. Right. This is from the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So in the scriptures, it contains prophecies, visions that were given to the prophets, and they wrote them down. And this happened thousands of years ago. But now that now we are in the times where these visions, they're getting ready to start coming to pass. In these last days, there's a few major visions that we're looking for. The second coming of Yahweh Shai, World War III, and the Revelation 13, the rice device from 16 to the end. Right? This is from Shit Hit the Fan Plan. It reads, Iran's president claims it's in a full-fledged war with the U.S., blank, and Europe. Okay? And this is part of those visions. All right? We could go right to the basics. This is from the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So this right here, all right, this is actually a sign of the end of the world. Not that the earth is going to be destroyed, but certain parts or portions, countries, is going to be hit with nukes. All right, and Babylon's going to be hit with nukes. It's going to be destroyed. It's never going to be inhabited. Other places is going to be rebuilt back up. All right, so go back to Matthew 24, and let's look at verse 4. And Yahweh shall answer and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. That's another sign that we're in. The rise of false prophets. Okay, the rise of people distorting the doctrine, selling out. The rise of, seducing spirits. 5, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. Verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, so that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So these things, they must come to pass. Okay, and a few years ago, you had this picture taken, all right, with that's the president of Russia, of course, Vladimir Putin. You got the president of Iran. He's in the middle, I believe. I believe his name is Musa Peskani. And you got the president of Turkey, right? Iran, Russia, and Turkey. Okay, but that is called the Astana process, right? Those three nations linking up, which that you can read about that in Ezekiel 38. The Astana process is a series of Russian, Turkish, and Iranian-sponsored talks launched in 2017. So that was years ago, right? What about 8-9 years ago? To resolve the Syrian conflict, focus on de-escalation zone, ceasefire, and later political transition to the UN-backed Syrian Constitutional Committee. but it primarily functioned as a conflict management tool, leading to limited military agreements. Okay, key aspects: sponsors Russia, Turkey, and Iran. Okay, you can read about this alliance in Ezekiel 38. So when you see things like this in the news, you have to know that there are other countries that are allied with Iran. Okay, so let's go back to this prophecy. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said that Persia is at war with the U.S., all right, the Holy Land, and Europe, all right. So you have the West, you have the least of the flock in Europe, right? Pez, Pez, Pezeshkian made the comments months after Nero ordered strikes on 3 Persian nuclear facilities. All right. In my opinion, we are in a full-fledged war with Babylon, the least of the flock in Europe. They do not want our country to stand on its feet, he said Saturday in an interview on the website Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader. Forgive me. Trump's strikes in June infuriated Persia, and the country demanded that the UN take action against the U.S. This marked an inflection point in a nearly 2-week-long armed conflict between Persia and the Holy Land, now dubbed the 12-Day War, which the president helped end with a ceasefire in late June. Recently, the White House has restarted its policy of crippling sanctions against Tehran. Trump's return to the Oval Office in January, prompting Pezeshkian to declare that this conflict between Persia and the West is far from over. Here, they are besieging us from every aspect. They're putting us in difficult constraint, creating problems in terms of livelihood, culturally, politically, and security-wise, while raising society's expectations, he said. On one side, they block our sales, our exchanges, our trade, and on the other side, expectations in society have risen. Consequently, we must all help with all our might to fix this country. Neither the U.S. ruling class nor the Holy Land have responded to comments made by Pezeshkian. All right, the PM, Mr. Yahoo, all right, .com, is currently preparing for a visit to the U.S. this weekend for a meeting with Trump on Iran. Right, this is from Infowars. It says, as Trump awaits Mr. Yahoo's war pitch, Persian president says the U.S. already waging full-scale war. This is from 12/28, right? We're just a couple of days away from the so-called New Year. Persian President Masoud Pezeshkian comments came in a 6,600 word interview. All right. 2 days before the PM, Mr. Yahoo.com is expected to pitch to Mr. Nero, all right, on a new round of war with Persia. Persia president says the U.S., all right, the least of the flock in Europe are already raging a full-fledged war on Persia, and that a return to kinetic warfare will result in a more decisive response than the retaliation witnessed during June's 12-day war. Right? So, yeah, all right, we're getting closer as each day draws by, or passes, whatever. We get closer. It's Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. That's what you're seeing. All right, Persia versus the Holy Land, the least of the flock. Persia versus Europe. Russia versus Ukraine. Different allies aligning themselves: Russia, Turkey, Iran, the West, and the Holy Land. Okay. And there shall be famines, scarcity of food, water, pestilences, diseases, earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. All right? It's only the beginning, but it's coming very quickly. All right? And the World War III does talk about, and that is talked about in the Holy Scriptures, man. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. Okay, that's what we're seeing right now. That's what we're hearing about: wars, the rumors of wars. Why? Because the third woe that's coming quickly. All right. Now let's go to second Esdras 15, all right? Second Esdras 15, let's go down to 28. And this is the Good News Translation I'm reading from. Then in the east, you will suddenly see a fearsome sight. Arab armies with many chariots will advance like dragons. As soon as they start out, the sound of their hissing will spread across the world and bring fear and trembling to everyone who hears it. The Carmonians will come out of the forest in a fierce rage, like wild boars advancing in strength to attack the dragons. So we need to understand who the dragons are and who the Carmanians are. So you look up the definition of Carmanian. Let's see. A Carmanian was a member of an ancient warlike people from Carmania, a fertile province in ancient Persia, modern day Kerman, Iran, right? Southeast Iran, near the Persian Gulf, known for their fierce nature, resembling Medes and Persians. Okay, so Carmanians, that's talking about the Persians. That's links up with the Persians. Okay, that's what's happening. Then in the east, you will suddenly see a fearsome sight. Arab armies with many chariots will advance like dragons. Why? Because those other nations over there are gonna click up. Because I believe Turkey is an Arab nation as well. Excuse me. Turkey is not an Arab country. I believe it's a Muslim. It says Turkey is a secular state with an overwhelmingly Muslim population. Okay, so let's see. Yes, Iran is an officially and predominantly Muslim country. So you have Turkey and Iran. Those are both, you know, Muslim countries. That's like the top religion over there. Is Islam, and a lot of those people are Muslims. So they going what you think is gonna happen? All right, I think that's in the scriptures, man. There's the saying. This is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 13:16. All flesh consorted according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. And it's also saying in the world, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So yeah, when you see Turkey and Iran, those are both Muslim countries. Okay, and then you have the least of the flock, the Ish people. You can see where this is going. All right. Let's check this out real quick. This is from Albert Pike, top 33rd. All right, Master Mason. All right. Now check this out. You tell me if this happened in the world. A third world war will occur between the political Z's and the leaders of the Islamic world. Turkey and Iran being part of those top leaders over there, right? And of course, you got Egypt too, which that's talked about in Ezekiel 38, right? The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and all right, political Z, the state of blank, mutually destroy each other. All right, that's what they're getting ready to do. All right, or at least try. Right. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. All right, that's what's happened. This is Revelation 11:14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. You're looking at three top players, all right, in the World War III. All right, looking at three top players, and then let's look at the other team. All right, this is who on the other team. That's Babylon and the least of the flock. Okay, it's happening just how the scripture says it's going to happen. Back in 2 Esdras 15 and verse 29, Arab armies with many chariots will advance like dragons. As soon as they start out, the sound of their hissing will spread across the world and bring fear and trembling to everyone who hears it. The Carmanians will come out of the forest in a fierce rage, like wild boars advancing in full strength to attack the dragons. Okay, we know Rev 13 or speaks about a dragon. With their tusks they will tear up a large part of Assyria. It says Damascus shall be a ruinous heap. Right? But the dragons will unite their forces, regain their former strength, and win the victory. Then they will turn and pursue the wild boars who will be thrown into panic, beaten into silence, and forced to turn and run. Okay? And actually, in the midst of World War III, that's when the Lord's going to, return the second coming. Because when those armies are fighting each other, the Lord's going to come back and destroy all of them. Okay? That's what 2 Esdras 13 is talking about. All right? This is Jeremiah chapter 50. I think it's 45. Jeremiah 50 and verse 45. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, that he had taken against Babylon. That's this place, the West, U.S. Okay? And his purposes that he proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. So that's these two guys. Okay? You have Babylon, the West. All right? And you have Mr. Yahoo.com. That's the least of the flock. So you understand. All right? So you go back to the scripture. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he had taken against Babylon and his purposes that he had proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. How are they drawing them out? Let's go back to the scripture. As Trump awaits Netanyahu's war pitch. So they're being drawn out. The West is being drawn out. Iranian president says Israel and U.S. already waging full-scale war. All right, so it's pretty evident to see Mr. Yahoo.com is drawing out the West. Okay, Bible prophecy said the least of the flock gonna draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Why? Because both of these places are gonna get hit with arrows, shiny, bright, glittering, fiery arrows. All right. The difference is Babylon is not gonna Babylon ain't gonna be inhabited anymore ever again. Right? This is Ezekiel 38. And, let's look up something else. It says, is Egypt a Muslim country? Yes, Egypt is a predominantly Muslim country, with Islam as the state religion and approximately 90% of the population being Sunni Muslim. You see that, man? Okay. And Ezekiel 38 speaks about Egypt, all right, Turkey, and Russia, and Persia, right? Ezekiel 38, and the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, which is, today we call that part of the world Russia. The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them, because they're Edomites as well. They're not going to be the next world superpower rulers, none of that. Right? 3, and thus said Yahweh Shem El Shai, power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. 4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into their jaws. Because right now, what is Russia doing? Right? They're over there, they kind of occupy with Ukraine still. Right? And this is from NBC News. Right? Russia threatens Ukraine after alleged attack on Putin's residence. Okay? Scripture said I'm going to turn thee back because right now, Russia's clearly occupied with the Ukraine situation. But something's going to happen to where they get drawn out to the Middle East. Right? And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Okay? Persia, that's Iran, that name was changed in 1935. It says before 1935, Iran was known internationally as Persia, a name derived from the region of Parsa, home to the ancient Persian empires. Though Iranians themselves had long used Iran, meaning the land of the Aryans, okay, internally in 1935, Reza Shah Pahlavi formally requested the world use Iran to reflect the nation's indigenous identity and heritage. So that's Persia. That name was changed in 1935. So when you read about Persia in the scriptures today, they call it Iran. But they've been calling that, which means land of the Aryans, right? Ethiopia and Libya with them. So those are different Hermetic nations. Okay, and I don't know. I don't think those nations are. Says yes, Libya is overwhelmingly a Muslim country. Okay, and I don't think Ethiopia is, but I'm gonna check it anyway. All right. Says Libya. All right. That's Libya. I wonder. Okay, I see what I did. Nope. Ethiopia is not a strictly Muslim country. All right. Ethiopia is religiously diverse. All right. And we know that from the scriptures. It speaks about the Ethiopian eunuch. But I think it's spiritual how, you got Persia, you got Libya, you got Egypt, you got Turkey. A lot of these nations that are linked up over there, it's predominantly Muslim based. Okay. But then you have allies amongst other nations too, because obviously Russia's not a Muslim based country, but that's like the head, you know, leader in charge, if you will, right? Verse 6, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah, right? And Anatolia, Asia Minor, Turkey, right? Of the north quarters and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So the role that Russia is playing is as a guard to these nations, man. Okay? So the Spirit's going to have it to where MrYadu.com draws out the West, right? And that's going to get this third world war popping. But it's at an appointed time, right? Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. At the end it shall speak and not lie. We're in that time where it's speaking now. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and will not tarry. Right? And I hope this has brought some edification. All praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. Shalom to the hopeful elect.